Hi there, my name is Manuel Tanger and I'm a co-founder at BTI, and I'm here with you today to talk about the social business model Canvas. Now we're talking about social businesses, right? And this has two words which are very meaningful in their own stake. First is social, which means it's a business or it's something that has to have impact, social impact in particular. And the second, it's a business, meaning it has to make money to support the social benefit that we want to bring. So a social business is doubly as difficult either than a business or a social thing that you do just out of passion. So a social business has two big requirements: to be profitable, to generate value, and to sustain that value in time with social impact. So when we look at a business model of a social business, what are we talking about? It's really the rationale of how an organization creates, delivers, and captures value as well as impact. Great, sounds amazing. Now how do we do that? Well, we have a canvas for you that is made up of 12 building blocks that describe, that help you think, that help you design, challenge, invent, innovate your business model in the social sphere. And this is what it looks like. Okay, it might look a little bit complicated, but let's go one by one and talk about them in time. Just another note. This canvas is actually very useful because it's a common language between you, your team, the social beneficiaries, the financiers, and so it's a way to communicate all in the same basis, in the same language, through a single platform, which is the canvas. It's also dynamic. You don't do it once and then it's done. It's something that evolves in time. It gets bigger, richer, more interesting, more informative. It's also a tool to use through visual thinking. You map out these things in space, which means that you can play around visually and geographically move these items, which is more enhancing than just words, for example. And finally, it's a MICI tool. And MICI means mutually exclusive, collectively exhaustive. I know, 4 huge words. What it means is it's complete. You're not forgetting anything if you're using the canvas. Okay, ready to go to 12 building blocks? Let's do it. The first one is the problem statement. Pretty simple. You probably know where you're coming from, what you're trying to solve. Just write it out. Make it explicit so everybody on the table knows what your problem statement is. Then we're talking about key customers, meaning commercially, who will you be selling to and transacting with, but also in terms of impact, who will benefit in the end from your social impact business. You need a value proposition for this target, right? You need to provide a value proposition that will generate business, and you also need to provide value for the social impacted group of people that you want to improve their lives. And so this means that you have these two layers that you always have to cater to: the commercial and the impact, be it in the target segment as well as in the value proposition. Then we have channels. Channels is how you're going to where you're going to connect with your client segment. Is it through online medium? Is it through a physical space? Is it through associations? How are you going to connect with them? Once you define that, the relationship is the next step, meaning design how you're going to do it, what the mechanisms will be, and what the recurrence of the fact of your communicating will be. That's the relationship that you need to develop to get to your customers, to get to your impacted group of people that you want to benefit. Then the tricky part is how you're going to measure. Now, in the social sphere, you know better than I, we're all talking about impact. And impact is a huge word, we're all behind it, but it's very hard to define concretely, unless we're talking about a concrete case. Now, you have a social business, and in your particular case, you surely have some metrics that are defining the impact that you want to have. Now, in social businesses, the impact normally is felt years from now. It's never or rarely is it an immediate impact that you feel. So you have these impact metrics that are near term, mid-term, and long term. Be explicit on this because these will be the drivers of the measurements that people will use, as well as yourself, to see if your business, your social business, is successful or not. It's a tricky part, but it's also a very meaningful part. Now we move to the back end of things. And the first aspect we need to cater to is the key resources. These are the assets that you need. They can be human resources, physical assets, IT, IP, physical environments, whatever it is that you need to do your activities, which is the next step. It's the verb. You have resources, what do you do with them? And that moves us from resources to activities, meaning what you do with the resources that you have. It's the verb, the action, what propels you forward. So you have things, what you do is those things. Now you have people as well. Don't take me wrong, they're not things, I know, but it's the activities that you have to describe, make explicit, so everybody in your organization knows what to do. Key activities. Another key component are the key partners. These are people, organizations, institutions that help you realize your activities or provide you with resources. And in the social sphere, the social business sphere, it's very common to have a big bunch of partners. Why? Because normally these are ecosystem problems that you need to solve. And to solve them, you need an ecosystem solution, thus the partners. And then finally, I say finally because it's the bottom part of the canvas, we have revenue. Now this is revenue because it's a business, so you need to be generating some money to make it sustainable. What are the streams of revenue that you are considering? How are you going to make money? Where are they coming from? And how are you going to use it? So revenue streams is important, which balances the other side, which are the cost structures. What are the big costs that you have providing a service to your clients, but also providing the impact you want to your beneficiaries of social good? Now, if you have something in between those, so if you have more revenue than you have costs, you have a surplus. And you can decide, you can keep that because you're a business, fine, or you can reinvest it in the social good that you're trying to do. If you do, there's something in the box of surplus for you to define. All right, we've seen the 12 building blocks of the canvas. It's a construct, it's a visual map of your social business. This is what it looks like, and it's now up to you to put in the information of your project, of your company, of your social business. And don't forget, this is a dynamic tool. Once you do it, it's not done. You evolve with it and you have considerations because you have more and more information, you develop more knowledge, you have more insight, and so you can tell the story differently now than you will in the future. So this is a tool that progresses with your social business. It's not a static tool. Remember, keep on using it, keep it very visual and present wherever you're working and wherever you're presenting it, and be proud of the work that's there because it's your canvas, so do it. Now, if you want to see this in action, check out our next video with an example of the social business canvas in practice.